Okay, hello, Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera. Welcome to a lab briefing session for motor starter module for the subject Bekb 1231. Okay, engineering practice. Okay, so my name is Karul Anwar bin Ibrahim. I'll be one of the instructor for 1BKM section 2. So this is basically the briefing how I'm going to implement the entire motor starting lab. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. So this slide only shows you what is the learning outcome. Okay, so there are basically 5 learning outcome for the whole class, for the whole lab. But for the motor starter, you only cover for LO number 1, LO number 4, and LO number 5. Okay, so you have to construct 3-phase motor circuit, and then you have to describe how motor starter works, and you will need to work in a group on how to construct the motor starter circuit. Okay. Alright, so the evaluations for this subject will be as follow. So you can see this red, this yellow color here. Basically, you are going to have a lab assessment, which the motor starter will cover about 20% of the entire 60%. And then there will be also a quiz and lab test, okay, individual. And they will also, we need to evaluate teamwork or peer evaluation, okay. So for this lab assessment, you will be assessed based on your, I'll discuss about this later on, okay, how are you going to assess all these 3 elements, okay. So Dr. Wahida has already posted a motor starter module briefing slide in uLearn, so you can go and check it out, download the slides, and you can refer that later on, okay. So in the motor starter experiment section, there will be 3 parts, okay. So for each part, for part 1, you will construct a circuit which is called a direct online motor starter. Okay. The second part, which is called direct online forward reverse motor starter circuit, and the last one is a star delta motor starter. Okay. So each individual part will be briefed with you guys, and you need to contact your instructor, individual instructor, on how are you going to arrange the session for your briefing in detail, the technical detail about the experiment. Okay, so this lab will be 3 hours per week. Yeah, officially it's 3 hours per week, but okay, since it be conducted online, you can take as much time as you like. All right. So normally in a standard motor starter, you have to go to the lab, physically construct the wiring, but due to this PKP or MCO movement, so our instructors, and thanks to Dr. Auzani, has developed a what you call a simulation based motor starter experiments. Okay, so but basically for formality, you have to follow the class time schedule, and there'll be online quiz and attendance to be taken. So but how I'm going to implement this depends on your instructor. For example, for 1BKM section 2, I will contact all my students, and then we will discuss what's the best possible way to conduct the briefing session, the detailed briefing session, and the quizzes and attendance and so on and so forth, and also the scheduling. Sometimes maybe during class schedule at 8 o'clock might not be suitable on Monday, maybe you can shift it to another day, so it's up to you. You can negotiate, you can discuss with your instructor on how are you going to schedule your session. Okay, so these are all the 4 instructors. This is me here. Okay, I'll be instructing for 1BKM section 2 students, and there's also Dr. Auzani, the technologist Dr. Masharil Amakia, and Dr. Wahida. All of us will be instructing a different set of students. Okay, so those are the instructors. Okay, so for the next few slides, I'll show you that the session, the online lab for for each section. Okay, so the schedule shown here are basically the one that is really in your original schedule. Okay, for example, for Dr. Auzani, in his schedule, timetable is scheduled for Friday, 5th of June, 8 to 11, and 12th of June. But it's up to him, it's up to you to negotiate, to discuss with your Dr. Auzani, which is the best date. Maybe you can change it, up to you. It depends on you guys. Okay. So similar for Roshari Kia, for one Bekb section 3, one Bekb section 1, and myself. So I would strongly suggest all of you to create like a Telegram group or WhatsApp group for you to have a constant communication with your instructor. Okay, so let's move on. For the lab setup, okay, this is very important. So you have to, since we are doing a simulation type based of motor starter experiment, so you have to prepare your computer or your laptop. You need a laptop or a computer for each one of you, and you have to download the software. Okay, so in Ulearn, Dr. Waida has already uploaded the software for how to do the simulation, how to download the MATLAB Simulink. For your information, all UTM students are eligible to download a paid version, because UTM has already subscribed to a paid version and the latest version 2020 of MATLAB, original and legit software. It's not a pirate software. Okay, so you guys can go ahead, follow the instructions carefully, and download the software. A piece of advice, basically, the software might take about 3 GB of your data. So plan carefully when you're going to download them. Okay, and then make sure that you have enough data quota in your, let's say if you have a fixed data plan. For those who have having an what you call unlimited data plan, that's up to you lah. Okay. All right. So as I said before, you have to prepare to download. This is also another thing that you have to prepare. You have to have a laptop, as I said, and your smartphone as well. Okay, and you have to maybe download Microsoft Teams. Okay, and Telegram, and Ulearn, or maybe WhatsApp. So this another platform for communication. These are all communication platform between you and your instructor. It might be different from other instructor. Okay, so if your access to internet is limited, please inform your lecturer as soon as possible. Okay, so before this lab starts, make sure all of you have contacted your instructor to arrange the briefing session, to arrange the submission of your lab, and also so on and so on. Okay, so make sure you contact your inform your lecturer as soon as possible. If you have problem internet, of course also contact your instructor. Okay, so let's talk about lab assessment. So there'll be 3 types of assessment, which is the first one is your lab work assessment. So the lab work assessment is almost similar to the one that we have before in the traditional motor starter, whereas you will be divided into groups, maybe 2, maybe 3, maximum is 4. Okay, so and then you're going to have to prepare a short video. Okay, and then you have to submit a simulation. You have to do a simulation, and you have to submit the simulation files through Ulearn. I'll explain this after this. Okay. On top of assessment, lab assessment, you are going to be we will conduct a quiz, a very short quiz. This is an individual type of quiz. Okay, so this can be given through Ulearn or maybe through other platform, Microsoft Teams. It depends on the lecturer. We will discuss it later on. Okay, and finally, you're going to have a peer review type of assessment, whereas each one of you need to evaluate your colleague or your friend or team or your partner. Okay, in terms of how well he's doing, how's the cooperation, how is he giving any contribution to your work and stuff like that. Okay, so that's the 3 types of assessment. So maximum 4 students. Okay, but anyway, as I said, the arrangement of the number of students will depend on your instructor. Okay, so you have to discuss this with your instructor for further detail. Okay, it can be 1 person, it's up to you, but you can have up to 4, maybe 3, 2. Okay, so you have this group work will cover 3 experiments. Okay, of course, as I mentioned, you'll cover LO number 1 and 1 video in 4 weeks. Okay, basically you have to submit a 1 short video in not 4 weeks, but in week number 4. Okay, so a total of 3 wiring circuits for all experiments. So you have to submit a simulation file, MATLAB simulation file, for all 3 parts of the motor starting module. Okay, so how about the video? So let's talk about how we're going to show the video. So this is just a very brief guideline on how we're going to create your video for assessment. So the guideline for video will be given on the first week. Okay, So submission of video linked through YouLearn. You can ask your instructor how detailed your video want to be, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, okay? And then just a few tips for video. You have to show your simulation model, and you have to conduct the simulation test in the video and describe by words. You have to talk and make a short video on how the circuit operates, and discuss also the results. Okay. So and then let's talk about wiring circuit in MATLAB. Okay. So this is just the picture on the right here is just an example of showing a physical how it's connect, how the motor starter module will be connected in physical way. But since you are doing simulation, you're not going to do any wiring, any cutting wires, but so on. This is just to show you the schematic diagram lah. Okay. So the circuit in MATLAB you have to submit in both PDF and MATLAB simulation file. How are you going to convert to PDF? Maybe you can do a screenshot. You can save the PDF screen as a file that you can view in PDF, as well as the actual MATLAB simulation file that you have modified. So basically, the way is this: the instructor will give you a raw or an empty MATLAB simulation file, and then you have to draw the connections, and each of your instructor will discuss this in detail. Okay, and the deadline tentatively we'll set it to 26th of June. Basically, it's the 4th week, okay, of this motor starter module. Okay, if you go to YouLearn, you can also download the rubric for assessment. Okay, so these are the things that we will evaluate. Basically, your PDF file, your MATLAB file, as well as your video. So all the 3 things that we will evaluate based on this all criteria. Okay, for example, how do you understand the circuit? Do you understand what the function of each component? And do you understand how the circuit works? Okay, and this circuit presentation is just if your simulation works, and then we assume you have done the correct wiring. And then there's some safety practice. I would say this is not more as a safety practice, but it's a good a good practice for doing a simulation, for designing a circuit in a software. Okay, for example, tidiness. There's no not exposed wire, but I would say that exposed wire for physical, yes, of course. But for example, in circuit diagram, there are no very blurry and very difficult to read diagrams. Okay, so you have to draw the diagrams as neatly as possible, as clearly as possible, and then in order to provide easy understanding for others to read your circuit diagram. Okay, and of course functionality also has to work lah. Okay, attendance and punctuality, I think this is pretty much if you attended the briefing. And if you do the quiz, basically we'll take that as part of your attendance. Okay. Okay, individual task, online quiz. We will cover actually 3 experiments. You'll be asked in a very short, maybe questions on the things that you have done. Okay, and also based part on the briefing that the instructor will be given to you lah. So you have maybe it will ask you what is the function of a component, how to do this, and what happen if you do that, and how to calculate a few things. Okay, so we haven't come up with the exam yet, question yet, but we will see you in the 4th week. Okay, so wait for the further instruction from your instructor about the online quiz. And finally, there we have to do this peer review of about 5%. This is basically for you to assess your friends or your colleagues. Let's say you have 3 friends, and each one of you will evaluate every one of you. Okay, so this also will be submitted through YouLearn, through an online survey in YouLearn in the 4th week. Okay, so this is just a few updates in the peer review. So let's say, for example, I show you if you can download this form in YouLearn. If she had made a lot of good suggestions, then you can give her marks 0 or 1. If he or she worked well with me, or just give me a problem, just skip and then doesn't talk, doesn't contribute anything, then you can give a poor mark here. So it's up to you. Okay, so this is I hope that you can give an honest marks on this one. Okay, now move on to the lab time frame. So lab time frame will be about 4 weeks. Okay, similar to the previous implementation. So between the first 2 weeks, okay, you have to execute the entire 3 part of the experiment, and you are giving the another in a week. Sorry, first 3 weeks. Okay, so the last week is for you to create and submit the video, and do an online quiz, and submit your online peer review, and submit your simulation in PDF file. Okay, all submission will be done in ULearn. Unless your instructor asks you to submit in another way, in another form, using Microsoft Teams or email or whatsoever, then it's up to you. So you have to discuss again on how your instructor going to get the simulation, the results, okay? Submission. Okay, I think that's all I want to talk about lab briefing today. So if you have any further questions, feel free to contact me, okay, and contact your instructor. So please make sure that by this time, by today or by tomorrow, you have already have some communication, and you know all the information, and be sure to download all the necessary information from ULearn. Okay, if you have any question, feel free to contact me, and we'll see you in each of the individual class. Okay, I wish you all good luck. Thank you very much for listening. Sorry for the last minute kind of video, and stay tuned for any further announcement from all 4 of us. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum, and I think it's not too late to wish you all Selamat Hari Raya, Maaf Zahir Batin. And for those non-Muslim, for all of you, stay safe, work from home, and stay healthy inshallah. Assalamualaikum. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.